Welcome to the Knock Your Socks Off podcast. My name is Hannah.
And I'm Ravi.
And Ravi, what are you knocking my socks off with today?
Today, we are going to discuss the World Wide Web of anime.
Anime?
Specifically,
On the
so
web.
this came about because we recently just finished the classic anime known as Death Note.
It was.
Your first
It was
time watching
classic.
the anime all the way through. My second time watching it all the way through. And I picked up a lot of things that I forgot about.
Yeah.
You are now a anime superfan, a weeb as they are
No, there's a
called.
fan name?
There's a fan name. They're called weebs.
Specifically the weebs.
The weebs.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could Google it really quick, actually.
The weebs.
Yes.
Because it's like, is it short for dweebs? Is it like,
I
is it
think
like,
so.
Is it like reclaiming? It's like reclaiming
Dweeb?
the derogatory word
Potentially.
that people had angled at people before, and they're like, no, guess what?
So a
We will
weeb,
take that back, and we're going to take off the D.
a weeb is a slang term used to refer to someone who is obsessed with Japanese culture, particularly anime and manga. This term is often used in a derogatory or mocking manner, and it's typically used to refer to someone who is excessively obsessed with Japanese culture.
Oh shit.
So we're using it not in the derogatory sense. We're using it more in the lighthearted, ha ha ha. You know,
Well, and the like.
Hannah's watched
again,
one
you've
anime.
reclaimed it. That doesn't make me the weeb. I think that
Correct.
makes you're the weeb.
Well, part of this is also to like, you know, because like basically with this, I want to, you know, you when we were watching it, you were very like, wow, this is kind of
was in
crazy.
it.
You were very into
I was
it.
totally into it. Yeah.
As many
100%.
fans of Death Note know, like everybody is into it to start, and then everybody's out of it
I
by the
know.
end of it
Yeah.
because the show does this kind of roller coaster moment.
Well, the show just becomes different.
Very different.
It just is like it is Death Note, and then it's just like kind of whodunit. But yeah.
Well, I mean,
Once-
that's
and then Ryuga's
that's
gone.
like my first like question, I guess, for you
Okay.
is like your initial gut reaction is now that the series is done for and is
Sure.
completed.
Yeah.
Like as a piece of content out there. Forget that it's anime.
Okay.
It's, you know, very tied to like Japanese
Yeah.
culture.
Okay.
Like, what's your just initial like gut reaction of
Just
like,
watching it?
Of watching it.
I would totally recommend it to people. And now granted, I think I would recommend it, especially kind of as like a vehicle, if you will, for like getting someone into anime.
Sure.
And like not because I've now like become like an anime girl or anything, but the essence of like I feel like it had its good level of both shocking but approachable to where it's like it's such an intriguing story. So then thus told via anime, if you will. It also feels like it's a great story that if someone was like interested in getting into anime, they could start there. Or like that's like been my experience. So then thus it's kind of like, oh my God, like I would totally recommend it. But in general, the story is like super enticing and like I highly enjoyed myself. And even when it got slower or even when the story like definitely ebbed and flowed of like
Right.
what it was about or like who the main characters were and why and you know, but still fun. And I guess I'm also very glad that I got to see it by no means in one sitting, but like in a very express manner.
Sure.
Because I think also like,
Marathon style.
yeah, like kind of, I think having had either watched that week to week or over a long period of time, like waiting for the next season or something like that, I think I would be less, I think I would have been less captivated, especially in those like slower parts where it was like, I don't know if it would have lost me, but I just don't know if it would have been like as like, there were still shocking moments even in the slower part of it, but overall I totally loved it.
I think anime is one of the only forms of television, if you will. Like, so we're in the streaming age. Whenever the alien species of the future finds this, we're in the age where we don't have to consume our content week to week.
Right.
But I think what's interesting is anime is still primarily released week to week.
Oh.
Like some of the big ones, like Attack on Titan, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they did that week to week, and then towards the end of that series, they did these bigger, longer episodes and things, and they were on like 2 or 3, and
Got it.
there's a lot more of waiting in that period.
Yeah.
But like, I think what's interesting with anime is that it's one of those things that you can still do week to week because it is interesting and there is still like a lot of conversation happening week to week about it, as opposed to like a lot of westernized shows, especially like cable TV shows, are very they don't really work week to week. Like I can't think of, there was Severance was a good one, right?
Yeah.
That was a week to week drop on Apple
was,
TV,
yeah.
and that worked.
Yeah.
But like majority of them don't feel like they
Yeah.
work as well. But anime in general is typically week to week, which is
Yeah.
always fascinating.
I mean, I'm wondering too, like with the essence of like the American sitcom, and like Severance is not an example of a sitcom, but like the essence of like American TV, I would say like is going through a massive shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you say anime itself has gone through a massive shift, or it stays pretty? Like, I wonder if in your opinion, like anime can stay week to week because it's the medium or the art form or whatever has like stayed pretty consistent. Versus like right now, like American TV at large, whatever, or just like TV like broadcasts,
Yeah.
even simulcast, whatever in America. Like there's the space of like it's just changing. That landscape is changing so much. So I wonder, like, in your opinion, is anime landscape staying
Also,
the same?
I think
don't
it
know.
has changed
Okay.
quite a bit
I mean,
because
it can
again,
happen.
there are like the bigger streaming companies like Crunchyroll that I think Hulu has like purchased a
Oh yeah,
piece
and then
in or
didn't
whatever.
Netflix purchase Ghibli?
Netflix is something where I don't know if they purchased that, but like what's interesting with those acquisitions is it helps as a distribution platform for the Japanese anime studios to
True.
distribute their content to Western media.
True.
But then what was also interesting, it made it more accessible to get older anime series just completely dumped on there.
Sure.
But then also the simulcast as well, like Gundam. Was it Witches of Mercury, which simulcast in Japan, but then also simulcast in America. That's like, I think the only second or third Gundam series ever in Gundam's like history and run of ever being simulcast with Japan at the same time.
Oh,
and that's
I
because
see.
of like advancements with streaming and things.
Okay.
Typically, like when I was a kid and like Gundam came to the States, it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was Cartoon Network bought the Gundam series. I had it dubbed into English, and then they did a weekly release. But it had already been in Japan at that point for like 10 years or something.
Got it.
So
Dang.
streaming has definitely helped, and I think changes. But I think anime still works in the week-to-week dump.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Which is cool.
So it being like your first anime and everything, it's obviously going to be your favorite anime of all time.
Sure. One of one.
One of one.
100% success rate so far for anime for Hannah.
The thing I think that's interesting with Death Note is, like, you see that right off the top, right? It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
The story itself is interesting. Remove all of the anime layers to it.
Sure.
And America thought the same thing about the story, and that's why Netflix did their live action.
So I've heard.
So you've heard. You've not seen it.
I've not seen that yet.
I guess, like, the question going into it, like, many consider it like a very flop
Sure.
tale, doesn't really work or
Sure.
whatever. Do you think the story of Death Note worked for you because of the anime or because of the story? Like, where, like, what's first, the chicken or the egg?
Can you separate
Yeah.
those out, like
Yeah.
the medium versus the story? I mean, you can tell a good story badly. Like, I think
Yeah.
you can tell, like, I mean, like, you know, especially, so, like, while this is my first anime, being a person who loves reading, and so, like, I've seen a lot of good stories be told poorly, and not just by, like, American, like, media or something, you know, but just, like, by, like, TV and film. There's been a lot of books I've loved, and then, you know, the movie killed it, or, like, whatever. Like, there's all
Sure.
there's those narratives that, like, kind of are, like, it doesn't make me love a book less when, like, the movie sucked or something, you know what I mean? So, but while I think, like, you know, in a book, though, you can, like, tell a lot more of, like, the
inner thoughts of a character.
inner thoughts, and you can, like, and they obviously they set things up differently. You kind of have a different level of investment because you're spending so much time in it. And I think the space of so I think almost kind of in the essence of, like, taking an anime into a movie, because right, it's a movie, right? The
Netflix thing
one
is a movie, yeah.
which is, like, it's just like you are automatically
and it's not the full story.
right. And so it's like, to me,
Yeah.
you're automatically going to be changing the story. So you're taking a good story in its medium that it thrived in, and then you're making it into something that, like, is just a really different platform and different medium to tell it in. And, like, so I do in general think taking a story that has a lot more breadth to it, being a TV series or a book, and making it into a potentially 2.5 hour movie, you're always going to essentially flop, or you're always going to have the haters who, like, love the original source material.
Right.
So, and so I think the essence of, like, what made it unique for the sake of the anime of, like, just, like, the art style. Like, I think, like having, death gods, like, portrayed
Shimagamis.
portrayed in the anime art form. Like I think like is really aesthetically pleasing and I think adds to it. And then so I haven't watched the movie, but I have seen the trailer. And so it's like when you try and put a highly fantastical character like Ryuk onto a body.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird. And so so to me, there's already like, you're kind of already taking it a bit of an L, or you're already at least at a loss a little bit. And so I do think it's like just tough to make something so fantastical, like live action. And like, you're already going to be kind of tough or whatever. Yeah. So while I do, I guess like this is the long answer to your question, but the short answer is I do think Death Note is a story that can survive outside of anime, but I do think the anime portion elevated it because
it has that fantastical
because it lets the material like thrive.
No, I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then I don't know if you touched upon this, but you made a really good point with reading a book and then its adaptation to like movies. And we've talked about this before, where in a book you can hear the characters' inner thoughts. Death Note has a lot of characters having inner thoughts. I think you called it out when we were watching it too, where it's like, this is cool that you can get into the character's head. Totally. And it is like a big trope within anime. Yeah. It's like being able to hear the character's thoughts. Yeah. Especially in like animes where there is conflict between like two opposing forces and there's a fight about to happen.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question on the essence of like, so, right. Cause you're talking about anime, and is every anime's source material. Okay. So actually this is my question, but then first let me do the sub question. Is it pronounced manga or manga?
Oh, it depends on where you are in America.
Really? There's not like a...
I think the proper is manga.
Okay, manga.
But
okay.
People in America will say manga.
Okay, manga.
I think it really just depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is all anime based on manga? Or is anime or maybe the chicken or the egg? Maybe the chicken or the egg question that I think of is like, can you separate manga from anime? Like, can there be anime that exists without being a manga, and can manga also just be that and it doesn't become an anime? Or is manga always anime?
I'm not aware of any anime that has made it to American shore.
Yes.
Or the American shores that wasn't a manga first. So like Death Note, manga first. Dragon Ball Z, manga first. Gundam, manga first.
Okay.
Attack on Titan, manga first. So I mean, maybe.
And then
but I think there is a possibility that it might not
and
be.
then my take on that is for the essence of like an anime, right, kind of having so much of that like book feel or that like inner thoughts, is that like the source material being booky, you know what I mean? Or like kind of like the source material being, a written medium is like fascinating to me, or would like for only further align with it, like feeling as I was watching it, kind of like I was reading a book, you know?
Yeah. I mean, again, it is based, and a lot of anime studios will like basically as how I've always kind of envisioned, or how it works, I guess, is like anime studios will go find mangas that they like, find the writers and the writers and the artists, and be like, "Hey, come adapt this as an actual show for us," and then becomes a show. Yeah. But like they produce so much anime that it's hard to keep up with.
Fair.
This being obviously your first anime, and this anime is considered under the genre of psychological thriller / supernatural thriller, which is an American genre classification.
The thriller?
No, like what I just said, the supernatural.
That part.
That's how Americans would classify it as a genre.
Okay, sure.
In anime and manga, they have their own types of genres. And I'm going to read them out to you.
Okay, great.
And then I want you to tell me what you would want to be the next genre of anime that you watch.
Okay.
And I can give you some examples of these. And also I want to preface this. I do not speak Japanese.
Okay.
I am probably going to butcher the pronunciations. So I apologize.
Okay, great.
I didn't practice beforehand.
Disclaimer.
But don't come for me. The first one, and these are the 5 most popular. I'm not saying that these are the only genres. These are just the 5 most popular, most broad, and the ones that have come to America the majority of the time. Okay. So the first one is Kondo Monkey, which is kids anime genre, usually focusing on genres like adventure, drama, family, and more. Okay. This would be your animes such as Digimon, Pokemon the series, Beyblade.
Wait, Pokemon is an anime? For real?
For real. Pokemon is
So you
probably
might say
the greatest.
Death Note was my
second.
Second.
You used to watch Pokemon as a kid?
Yeah, I did.
Nerd.
I know. At 4 p.m. when we got back from school.
Nice.
It was so fun.
The next big one is shonen or shonen.
Okay.
This one is typically shonen is the most popular among all the 5 types of anime. This literally meaning of shonen is boy. This type of anime is generally targeted toward teen boys, 12 to 18 years old. But even teen girls like to watch them. And this is
So is it porn?
There's a whole other terminology for that we will not get into.
There is terminology for it.
Anyway, moving on. It's called hentai,
Okay, great.
which is adult anime, I guess.
Okay, great.
Anyway, shonen, which is
Not 12 to 18 year olds.
not for the 18 plus year
But
olds.
they're watching it. We know this.
Anyway, this one includes things like Naruto, if you've heard of that.
Wait, yeah. People say that that's like basic.
That's what a lot of Americans say it's basic. But like Naruto like has influenced a lot of anime culture in America. Like a lot of individuals do like it because it follows this young teenage boy who is a ninja in this like ninja world. I personally never watched Naruto. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of offshoots of it and spin-offs, but
Okay.
it's a big one. There's also things like One Piece, which is like
big one.
1,000.
And they're doing a live action.
And they
of
have
that
a live
too now.
action on Netflix. There's Bleach, which I think they also did a live action. And then there's also Dragon Ball, the series, which is like an anime that I grew up with, still watch as well.
Sure,
So that's shonen. Then there's shoujo.
Is it like basically the Mandalorian?
What?
Like that genre is like an adult and like they're like little Padawan going on adventures. Like is that what is it Natara?
I mean, no, this one's just more like fighting.
Oh,
Just
it's more fighting.
Just fighting genre.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was
Like
like just,
Dragon
I
Ball
was just
Z.
trying to picture like because 12 to 18 is like a pretty like that's like a family friendly.
Yeah, so fighting. Dragon Ball, fighting.
Okay. There's
Well,
no
like
like they're not
Pokemon-
going on like quests.
Yeah, they are going quests. Like Dragon Ball's
Mandalorian
like
is a quest show.
sure,
like
but
they're just going on quests.
I wouldn't say that's like
and he's fighting. He is
it's
fighting.
fighting. I guess. Yeah, you could say that shonen is, then I guess is like Mandalorian.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to put it in some
that's
Hannah
fine.
terms.
That's fine.
Okay, great.
Then there's shoujo or shujo.
Okay.
This is for young girls. It's basically the opposite to shonen. So this would be shows like Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon is technically anime?
Yeah, Sailor Moon is 1,000% anime.
Is Powderpuff Girls? What's that?
Powerpuff Girls is
Powerpuff Girls. I've always said
Powderpuff.
I've always said Powderpuff.
Powderpuff. No, Powderpuff is a Cartoon Network. American
They're not
animation.
anime.
No, it's not anime.
Okay,
no.
okay. Sailor Moon is though. Oh, cool.
Sailor
Okay,
Moon
great.
is definitely.
All right,
Fruit Baskets, Violet
Shout out
Evergreen.
to boys who like Sailor Moon too.
yeah,
Respect.
That I mean, it was a Cartoon Network. You're probably
Right,
thinking.
that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah, because
exactly.
Cartoon Network
Like Pokemon,
imported
like-
a bunch of stuff.
Got it. Okay.
From
okay.
Japan.
Okay. Makes sense.
Then there's seinen.
That's another genre.
It's another genre.
All right.
Literal meaning is youth, and the anime and manga in this category are targeted toward adult men. So this anime type covers
Youth, but for adult men.
for adult men.
Fascinating.
Yep. So this anime type covers the audience who are 18 and above in age, predominantly males, but is also liked by females. Includes all the elements of typical shonen anime, but elevates to the next step by having no theme or story restrictions. So blood, gore, talking about more adult
Got
level.
it. So there's still is anime in general a lot of like fighting crime?
No, it could be everything.
Oh.
Yeah, it could be all over the place. It's
But that genre specifically just
these
gory?
genres, like if you like really like break down the genres at how it's listed,
Like, are there any like
It's more like-
rom-coms in anime?
yeah, we're getting there.
Okay.
It's more like these genre types and listings are more like your TV ratings. Like if you think about it,
Okay,
like that's
okay,
what
okay,
this
okay,
basically
okay.
breaks down
Sure.
to. Like I would say that Death Note falls
Oh,
into
I
this
see.
genre.
Oh, the adult one.
Yeah, the adult
Well,
one.
sure. It was some pretty heavy concept. I wouldn't want a kid, I think, to watch it. I don't know.
This one, Josei, refers to women or female and is the equivalent of sign-in for females.
Okay.
For adult women who are 18 or older.
That is the thing. Anime is felt very highly genderized, or like
It
it really
definitely is.
leans into
It
like the
definitely
female
is.
stereotype rather than like. Granted, I don't feel like I had like a very strong female representation in Death Note. you know,
Mikasa wasn't the strong female representation that you were
of the
looking for.
Shimigami that I wanted. I don't know.
So this one is about relationships and challenges. There's more LGBTQ plus storylines in this one. Some popular ones here are Descending Stories, Princess Jellyfish, Kids of the Slope.
Ooh.
So, yeah. And then there's the other way they kind of break it down is like Josie's rolls around romance and drama, but it's grounded in reality. While like the other ones, the other four, have more of a fantastical,
Bit mystical
sci-fi elements and that type of stuff.
Okay.
So
which genre do I want to do next?
yeah, and then they break it down into like themes as well.
Yeah.
Where there's like mechs, there's death, there's harems, there's Ichi. Ichi involves adult comedies and explicit content. There's Idol, centered around male and female idols. Yuri, which is romance between women. Yoi, romance between men. As is Isekai, which is a protagonist dies in the real world and gets reincarnated to a magical world fantasy land. Maho Soju, female protagonist with magical powers. Slice of life, captures the daily lives of the characters and the drama around them. And then Mecha, which is giant robots and monsters and shit.
Is that Gundam?
That's like Gundam.
Okay.
Yeah. So they break them down and then like because you could have in theory like an isekai, which is where the protagonist dies and goes in a fantastical world, and that could be for like young adults, right?
Oh, sure, exactly.
Or you could make it more female centric.
Yeah.
So like it really breaks down into these various things.
Yeah, I mean it's like really interesting because like it's fascinating to hear some like in a sense like an art form put into different genres like for the sake of like. Or breaking it down because it's like we have those in all of our stories, like all of them, you know, somewhat land into a genre, and we just think if something's a comedy or a drama, like whereas like even in comedy you have like so many subgenres or whatever, you know what I mean? So I mean to me, like I think it would be really interesting. Like again, like I think that was something that I really noticed about watching Death Note. Like, was the like high male, or like just like. Not many women in the and then also like in that like still very like not a wide range of like female representation,
right?
And so like I do think it'd be really interesting to watch like anime that had like more queer coded like spaces or like conversations or something that would allow for hopefully like just in general like people who like were more rounded, if you will, rather than just like I really loved like Elle and Light's like
back and
dynamic,
forth.
And I don't need them to be romantic, or I wouldn't have needed them to like have a whole thing, and then that's what makes it the story. Like I did like that they just like had an arch nemesis and yet also like partnership the whole time, like or like tension, or as long as Elle was around. And so yeah, like but I do think like they only like I think touch the surface of that. Like I think if Elle had stayed alive for longer, there could have been like further depth into like the masculinity of it all, or like, you know, kind of just like those kind of concepts that I think could be really interesting in my next anime, you know, that has like a bit of more maturity versus just kind of like bad guy, good guys, who is like fighting what, you know, like I don't think I'd be super interested in just like a fighting story.
Sure.
Cause like
I'm glad you bring this up because I found a list of recommended animes that you should be watching.
Okay, great.
After you look at Death Note.
Okay, great. What do they say?
I'm by no means giving these animes the proper like synopsis. I'm just doing quick ones, but out of these, I'm just going to read them off and you tell me what sounds interesting to you.
What's next?
Code.
It's in the queue.
Code Geass. Code Geass.
Okay.
Protagonist has similar ability to Light, also mechs.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of interesting.
That is very
so
interesting.
like you can write somebody's name, but they're also giant robots.
100%.
Death Parade, a game of life and death.
Squid Games.
Well, so there is no relationship to like Squid Games or anything of that nature. But from what I can tell with Death Parade, it's people are like fighting for survival, and there's a group that organizes.
Oh my god!
I guess it is kind of like Squid Games. Anyway,
Dang.
Kaijai.
Okay.
Gambling with genuine stakes.
Oh,
so like a lot of like whodunit guessing mystery type thing, which you did say you liked in Death Note.
I do.
Classroom of the Elite. Stoic protagonist manipulates everyone around him.
Fascinating.
which
It's
is
good- it's good mental
exactly what
games.
Light
Truly.
was doing.
Yeah.
Monster, deliberate thriller, and character study.
Okay.
So kind of interesting one.
Very.
Tomodachi game, students dragged into outlandish games.
Hunger Games.
Kind of like a Hunger Games thing.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
My hero, normal guy pushed to desperation.
Oh, sad.
Sad, but
Like, what
kind
are
of
you going to do? What are you
interesting.
going to do in
Kind
that
of
scenario?
interesting.
100%.
The Future Diary. Imagine a battle royale among Death Note users.
Oh, between the people who have the notebook, or
Yeah,
that's the-
have
that's
an
the thought.
ability to do something like
okay, like
take
know
out
each
their-
other and like
yeah,
and
yeah.
like they can't quite just kill each other, but they have to methodically. That's interesting. I like that.
Parasite, the maximum, a symbiotic relationship. Now this one,
Not in relation to Parasite, the film.
no, this one is basically a parasite takes over this guy's body, and he has to work with the parasite to take out other demons
Classic.
and monsters and things.
Venom.
Yeah, Venom. Yep. One Out, a psychological twist on baseball. So it's an baseball anime.
I like baseball.
Where it's a lot of like inner thoughts and discussion and that like high, crazy, battle-y type of
Sure.
things that you saw in like an anime, but
Sure.
like with baseball.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one's like, so in order, like I would recommend One Outs
Yeah.
next. I would say then.
I like the L one or the light one where he's like manipulating everybody else. That one I think would be fascinating.
Wait. The stoic protagonist and manipulates everyone around it. A Classroom of the Elite.
Yeah.
That one sounds like a good one for you too.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all out there, and the list. This is only like I think 8 of them. There's like 25.
Where is there a good hub of like where to watch anime?
I'm glad you said, because our sponsor today. No, I'm kidding. We don't have sponsors.
Jumping into it.
But that would be a really good way to segment to like Crunchyroll,
wait a
the
second.
sponsor of this video. Crunchyroll is probably like deemed like one of the better ones.
Okay.
Hulu, if you have Hulu,
Yep.
Has a bunch of anime in there
Yep.
as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do like the Crunchyroll app because it does break it into the genres. While
Okay.
Hulu, I think
Just kind of is
it's
there.
just like anime.
You gotta know.
You gotta know what you're
Got it,
looking
got it.
for. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
And then, so that's what like the internet recommends.
Okay.
What I would recommend, because I grew up on this stuff,
True.
I would recommend first Gundam, the original series.
Okay.
Primarily because I think as an anime, it does one of two things. It's this fantastical story using really cool, interesting visuals to tell a story that is based on basically like real kind of history of conflict, like war conflict within the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an interesting breakthrough and whatever. And like
Totally.
that came about post World War II things that happened in Japan. And then also like there are Gundam movies as well out there that I would definitely recommend because they are like smaller pocket sized like
Yeah.
things around
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Attack on Titan.
Sure.
I would definitely recommend the series if you have the time.
Lots of time.
It's a lot of time. It's 4 seasons and a bunch of specials or whatever.
6 seasons in a movie, as in Community.
Exactly. But if you're not into gore and like
Well.
violence,
Is it more violent than Death Note? Like Death Note
I'd
wasn't
say
not
like,
violent.
I would say like after the first 5 episodes of Attack on Titan, you're kind of desensitized.
oh, but that okay.
But you got to get through the first 5 because they're
Okay.
pretty gruesome. There are definitely other gruesome parts, but once you've kind of like built up
Just a wall.
a wall around
Just
it,
a numbness.
if you knew what Attack on Titan was about and the wall, you'd be like, "What? That's amazing that you made that connection."
oh, okay.
Because there's walls in there. So
I love
you're-
your small joy that you just like.
if you know, you know. I Y whatever K. What's the?
I'm
If
not
you
gonna
know,
help
you know.
Oh, IYKY.
Thank you. That's
If you
what I
know,
meant.
nope.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball the movies, I think, are just fun, fantastical, weird, goofy things.
Sure.
Again, talking like especially like the newer movies where they talk about like like Dragon Ball has done its own like version of the multiverse, and like
sure.
it's tied into like not like Japanese like religion per se, but like Japanese folklore tales and
cool.
things, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool.
And then an American anime, again, it's super violent, but interesting because it's an American story turned anime, which is Castlevania.
Oh,
So it takes the classic Castlevania video games.
classic.
And
I've
then
never heard of it in my life.
Castlevania?
No.
From the 80s?
No.
You have to go hunt down Dracula.
I was gonna say
and murder him?
it sounds like a
Vampires. It's really hot. Very, very hot.
like sexy.
Sexy.
Oh, okay.
Very sexy.
Sexy vampires.
Sexy vampires and a lot of blood.
Oh, sure. Sucking
Yeah.
blood. Or like
Just a
eating
lot
it.
of beheading and murder and just ripping
Classic.
ripping bodies apart. Yep.
Classic video game.
Classic.
the classic Castlevania.
Classic.
I'm
But
so
yeah,
sorry.
that's my recommendations.
Okay, all
What's
right.
interesting though, like as we went through like the genres and
Yeah.
then looking at that list, my list is very like male oriented,
sure.
gore.
That's what you've partaken in.
That's what I partake in. That's what I
Are you
like.
open to other genres?
Definitely, I want to
Okay.
get more into like the comedy anime
Yeah,
that's out
totally.
there. I think
could be
that would
joy.
just be fun.
Hell yeah.
Because like, why not? Why can't I get my like weekly sitcom in anime form?
100%.
Yeah,
I like that. What is like your all-time favorite anime?
of all time.
Yep.
That I can always go back to.
Yep.
Oh, that's tough.
If you have to pick 3, I'll allow it. But I kind of want your. I want you to hang your hat on one.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. So
All right.
okay.
Stir in the pot.
Okay, because some purists out there would say that
Anime purists.
I would just say purists.
Okay.
Whatever, like people that are just think
Haters.
too haters.
The toxic fanboys of every fan base. Yeah.
Basically, like the idea would be that, you know, if the idea does not originate from Japan and everybody involved is not part of Japan, then it's not really anime.
Mm-hmm.
And why I think I would get hate on it is similar to like what Star Wars did with Visions, the first
Okay.
season, where they worked with Japanese studios
Yeah.
and they created, you know, original stories.
Yeah.
You know, I think Star Wars Visions is one of my top 5 because it's a combination of anime, Japanese storytelling or anime storytelling, and it's Star Wars.
Sure.
It's definitely in there. But then like I also like the other, because Star Wars was not the first IP to be like, let's take Japanese studios and make IP out of it. They've done it with Halo. They did it with The Matrix. They did it with Batman. And like, I think all of those are some of the more interesting and fun like anime things out there because it's combining Western ideas and culture and things with Japanese culture and ideas and content and a medium, which I think is cool.
I still want to get back to your top, but do you know if, because manga is graphic novels, yeah?
Manga is graphic novels. yeah.
And graphic novels are comic books. Yeah?
Nope.
No?
I mean, again, it depends. Like some people will say a manga and a graphic novel are not the same thing. Like I personally think they are the same thing, but some people are like, no, a manga is closer to a book.
Oh.
And a graphic novel is closer, or it is a comic book.
Well, okay, interesting. Because my thought is like you're in the essence of like, yeah, blending the Western world, but like is like Batman basically like, I would imagine for some reason that anime has been around longer or manga has been around longer than comic books
I mean,
or something. Like, I don't know if there's a
I
way
think
to figure that out.
I think
but
you can go back. I mean, again, you can
for the sake of like,
you
they're
could go-
blending those worlds, but
Sure,
really is like
sure.
Batman just supposed to be
right, but you could
manga
argue
rather
like the
than-
hieroglyphics with the Egyptians was the first comic book. Because it was like a visual with
Sure.
that had a meaning and word to it.
minimal words.
Or you could go, or you could even go back and be like, the fucking cave paintings was the first comic book.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
So
all right. If you're getting in
think
the
it's-
weeds, it's too much.
I think it was just
All right.
there was a separation or like
Yeah.
just different art forms, different ways of telling story.
100%. And
Yeah.
it's okay and very normal for different cultures to have different ways to
Yeah,
express their
similarly,
art. And
yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah. But I think like
anyway.
my first all-time top, it has to be like Gundam Wing.
It does. Okay.
Because it was the first anime I ever saw as like
How old
a
were you?
kid. I think I was like 9 or 10.
Were you open to it at that age, or were you kind of like, yeah, this is kind of weird, you know?
No, I was super open to it because like
Okay.
there was other cartoons and explosions and
Oh, for
pew
sure.
pews that I was watching. So
Okay.
to see
So
like
it's just kind
more
of like
pew pews,
one of the things.
and then also to
well,
realize,
I mean, were you not watching Pokemon before then?
no, I was watching Pokemon was there, but like Pokemon was Pokemon.
Gundam really felt like you were watching anime.
Gundam felt like watching anime. Pokemon,
Okay.
even though like I didn't like similar to how you just had
Sure.
your realization that Pokemon was anime.
Yeah.
Like when I was
Yeah,
a
fair.
kid, I did not know that Pokemon was anime. I just
Sure,
thought
sure.
Pokemon was a cartoon show
100%.
on whatever network that was broadcasting it.
Got
And then Gundam was like, and because Gundam was also marketed on what was known as Toonami,
Uh-huh.
which was like the more younger adult Cartoon Network that would go on later in the day. So it was more adult and cool and whatever.
Okay.
And these things had fucking giant guns and machine guns and shit.
Got it,
While
got it.
Pokemon was like, I love you, Pikachu.
Gotta catch them all.
Which is like, in a weird
Approachable.
way, it's a super
mean,
approachable. Yeah. Actually, fun side tangent here. Some video game company was like, how do we take the idea of like guns and Pokemon and make it into this one thing? And there's this game called Pale World where you go and you collect Pokemon type character things, but you can also shoot them and like,
And kill them?
or weaken them with guns. I've not played it, but like it's becoming a very popular game.
Oh, okay.
Called like Pale World. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It's
Pale
weird.
World, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, but Gundam Wing is your favorite of all time.
Gundam Wing is my favorite of all time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like liking Visions as well, but like what's like, because there's always like a nostalgia for like, a first, if you will, or whatever, but like, is there any you've watched recently that you like do like, or do you like actually rewatching anime in general? I mean, it was fun to watch Death Note. There'll be
like a couple of episodes and things here and there,
Yeah.
but like anime just
is like so many.
it's just so much to
Yeah.
it usually.
That's
Like
fair.
there's was it One Piece or whatever? That's
did
like
you watch that live action
I
one,
didn't
though?
watch the live action.
okay,
no.
okay. People
'Cause
were fans of it. I never heard good
I never
things.
watched One Piece, the anime.
Oh,
so like I have no
see.
connection
Okay.
to it.
Okay. People were fans though.
Yeah. People
So.
were huge fans of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you consider Avatar the Airbender an anime?
I've never watched it.
Oh, that's right. You haven't watched it, have you? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if I would consider. I don't know if I don't know if I can in a sense thus consider anime or not. But it's like I haven't not watched it because it's any different version of anime or animation kind of thing. I would say in general I don't watch as many animated shows.
Because you're an adult.
But even as like I kind of like even after the Cartoon Network days,
Sure,
like I
sure.
wasn't the biggest. Like continued to watch animated content. It was still coming out. I mean, like, it's
still coming out.
Still
And it's still coming out, yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much made the exception for watching Clone Wars, and Rebels, but it was like basically I wasn't watching new Batman coming out or like any like different like animated shows that were on air, if you will. So I've never seen Avatar, and so I don't know if I could speak. Do people consider it anime?
Some people do consider it anime. Definitely.
Is it based off manga?
No.
Oh.
I don't know what it's based off of. It might be an original story. Maybe.
Love that.
Well, I mean,
There's a lot of seasons of that though too, yeah.
there's the main season.
Who does that one? That's not Ghibli. Obviously.
Nickelodeon.
Oh, it's Nick. It's a Nick show.
It was a Nickelodeon show.
Whoa,
Or it was greenlit by Nickelodeon. They have they're on their own studio now because there's a bunch of like Avatar projects in the work and things.
Got it.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know the origins of Avatar. Unfortunately,
Do you consider it anime?
I do.
Okay.
Because there are like elements to it, but it is still, it's like this weird, like perfect blend. It's its own animation style.
Yeah.
And like you always love to see when like Gundam has its own clear animation style. And like it's built upon that over the many, many decades.
Totally.
Like Attack on Titan again has its own clear animation style. They lend to other animes and things, but like Avatar is like one of those ones on the Western side that has its own clear, distinct style.
Okay.
Like a Family Guy, like a Simpsons or Bob's Burger or whatever, or Archer.
Sure.
So
I mean, if anything, every animation should have somewhat of their own style,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah. But I mean, it becomes different.
But even
I mean,
an anime being an art form
Right.
medium, like to be able to have specifics in that is pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing that I've read and heard in Japan, the problem that Japan anime studios are facing, similar to what we're facing in the States with the streaming stuff, is like they need more and more content. So what ends up happening is they're just copying and reusing character styles and things because again,
I see.
and it makes
I
sense
see.
because like you have to pump out that
do.
content so
Right.
quickly.
Right.
You can only draw a face so many ways. And if
And once you can just
pumping
computerize it and you
Yeah.
can basically just templatize
Digitize
it, like
it.
why make it? Why go
Why
through
reinvent the
more
wheel?
effort when
Yeah.
it's like if you just got to put quantity out, put quantity out.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
Before we get out of here, I do want to know.
Okay.
Are you legit going to put effort into watching another anime, or is this all just like fluff?
Is this for show, Hannah?
Is this just for show? Is this just for the pod?
Is this for the rude? I consider myself an honest person.
That's good.
And so I'm not gonna lie to you that I don't know if I will like put like high prioritization to watching an anime next, or like
This
being
sounds
like
so corporate. High prioritization.
I'm not against going to watch anime. I just like don't. There's so many other things out there as well. Like
I know there's Love Is Blind. There's
so
Rings of
many
Power.
things. Great British
the
Bake
Three
Off.
Body Problem.
There's so many things.
We're not sponsored by Netflix. I swear to God.
We're really not. But like I think there is like I think that was actually something that was like kind of great about Death Note there were enough episodes and a lot of episodes, but it also wasn't like hundreds of episodes.
Yeah, it wasn't daunting.
To where like, I mean, even if I told somebody like I love Clone Wars and I vouch for Clone Wars often, but I do tell people like it's a lot of show, and like they were putting out 24 episodes or whatever
24, yeah.
That like it's a lot of episodes for anybody to watch. So like kind of to me, so like maybe in general, like I'm not really like diving into like the most massive IPs in general, but like I just like. All right, then here's my pushback to you: is like, which one do I watch then?
Next?
Yep.
I have no idea.
See,
Because like
it's
all
tough.
like
It's
all the
tough.
classic ones, there are tons of episodes.
There's so many.
There's
Are there
so
any
many.
like good art? Because it's almost like because I think that was what was so great about Death Note 2 was like you're immediately bought in.
Yeah.
There was literally no point in the beginning. Like, because I know a lot of, like, I love Parks and Rec, so, like, random. But, like, I love Parks and Rec. It's not random to love Parks and Rec, but just random tangent. Is, like, but I tell everybody, it's, like, it's not really going to get that good until, like, season 2 or 3, and it's, like, the thing about Death Note was, like, I was immediately bought in. And so if going into an anime is someone's also kind of, like, just, you kind of have to get,
wait. Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, even if someone going into Clone Wars, I'd be like, you kind of have to wait.
Why don't we do that
Like,
thing that
but it's
people
like-
do where we ask the audience,
Yeah, tell me what to watch.
tell us what to watch next? And I would say the specifics, it's obviously an anime. Let's say 1 or 2 seasons,
Yeah.
capped at like 40 episodes, 45
Yeah.
episodes tops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And when we say like full wrap of a season, I think
Yeah.
shorter is better.
Yeah, I would love to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested. I just
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
little
And, like,
overwhelming.
It is definitely one of those things. And I think that's
So-
why it's tough. I find it tough to find new animes because there
Yeah.
is that big gap of like, you need to know all this other stuff first going
Yeah.
into it. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to dedicate 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
another big one from the studio that did Attack on Titan was this other one called Chainsaw Man.
Okay.
And it came out like maybe
Sounds
2 years ago, or maybe 3 years
Okay.
ago. And at the time I was totally bought and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it.
Sure.
And then I didn't. And then I kind of forgot about it. And now like, I think 50 or 60 episodes have gone by.
Oh, shit.
And like, there've been a couple movie spinoffs and there's more
Oh,
things
damn.
happening. And
Okay.
now it just feels inaccessible.
Right now, it's just like I've
yeah.
lost. I've missed the wave.
I've missed the wave.
kind of like
and I'm
the
just
wave
like, well,
happened.
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm sure it's great. And if you're watching it, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong and there is an easy way to pick up. So let me know.
Sure.
But, yeah.
So would love people's recommendations. But I will say that in the essence of winning me over towards anime is like Death Note. I think was a great one to. By no means, again, I'm not walking around being like, I love anime. Like everybody, like, I'm an anime girl or anything like that. Cause like, I feel like I would easily get sideswept or like,
Yeah.
clearly I'm a novice, but I'm like way more open to anime than I in general. I think in the space that I'm at now is like, I'm like, I don't really know where to start or where to go next, but this is really great and like would love to watch more. So
There
like,
you
let
go.
me know. I'm way more open versus I think before I'd be like, I don't know if I got time for anime, but now it's like, no, like
Nah,
the
you
stories
get it.
were great. And
Yeah.
like, and the animation style didn't put me off at all. Like, I mean, cause it is different. I mean, obviously than versus watching live action, but even in the essence of like, kind of like the stillness of the art form, like, it's not like really fast and like, it's like you kind of are watching it like move.
panels.
Yeah, basically. And so, but like that, it took me a little bit to get used to kind of, but then it just does and it just worked. So I'm open.
Nice.
Let a girl know.
Sounds like I win.
Yeah, you knocked my socks off.
I knocked your socks off.
100%. Towards,
So I think the
for Death
score
Note.
is
Oh my
1,000
God.
to 2. Sure.
Two?
To 2.
They'll be the judge of that.
There you go.
Okay.
Do you want to close it out or you want me to close
Oh,
it out?
you should do it.
You should do it.
No.
I usually do it. You should try it. Let's
God.
go. Ready? 3,
Doing
2,
something
1,
new.
Go.
Okay, you guys can catch us on the weebs. No, just kidding. On the internet, on TikTok at KYSO Podcast and on YouTube at KYSO Podcast. And we'll see you next time to talk about something else that Hannah will now win, and I will change the score.
New pods every Saturday.
That's it too. Bye, y'all.